Well, hi everybody. I am Dr. Christine Anderson. I am a Los Angeles-based chiropractor, and I've been in practice for 30 years. My postgraduate degrees are in pediatrics, pregnancy, functional neurology. I also have a diploma in homeopathy. Um, and I have a variety of tools in my tool belt when it comes to helping people stay healthy and happy. And frequency is a huge part of what I do in my office, what I do in my life. And so I wanted to share this with you all because it is so important. You can be doing so many positive things in your life, but if your frequency is off, if you're not maintaining a high frequency, then you are going to be more susceptible to whatever. We'll get into more of that as we go on. But a lot of people don't even realize what frequency is, right? We talk about this and say the words, but what really are we talking about? So let's dive right into this. Oh, by the way, isn't this a really cool picture on here? I know it's blown up, but this is a photograph based on somatics. And there was a gentleman, Hans Jenny, who has uh, based his work on Ernst Chiadny, and it's really cool stuff regarding Yeni would put sand crystals in water, subject these sand, which is just little rocks, right, to vibrational energy and sound, and they would create these different patterns based on the frequency that they were being subjected to. So this is really cool because they came into an organizational pattern. It's actually 3D, it's not in 1D. And you can find more about this. It is really cool stuff, and it is really what we're talking about today. All right. So, what is frequency? Well, it is a measurement that we are using usually in scientific, when we're talking about scientific things, that is looking at the rate of oscillatory and vibratory phenomenon, and it's usually measured in hertz, or sometimes you'll see megahertz. And really what this is the number of cycles per unit of time. So you can see in this chart there the high frequency wave. There are a lot more waves per unit of time than there are in the low frequency wave. The low frequency is kind of, meandering. We only get 3 waves to that particular amount of time. So this can be related to things like light and sound and mechanical vibration. So I've got a chart here showing the light waves, and we've got our visible light waves that we have there that's what we can see, and that's what color is. It's the light waves that are coming through and basically being emitted, and we can see that, but we also have things in the ultraviolet range, infrared. We've got microwave and radar and radio waves and X-rays and all the type of rays that we cannot see, but they do exist. And so just because we can't see what's going on doesn't mean it's not there. And sometimes it's a really, really hard concept, but this is just a great illustration of that. So Albert Einstein said, "We are slowed down sound and light waves, a walking bundle of frequencies tuned to the cosmos." Super, really think about that, because we are a physical body, so we give the appearance of solidness, but really we are more space than we are physical matter. And if you actually took the amount of physical matter that we have in our system and boil it all down, it really comes down to like a minuscule speck of sand. And I believe it's even been said that if you took everybody's solid matter in the world, it would boil down to about the size of a sugar cube. Now, I haven't measured that, but this is kind of mind bending, and this is where we get into sort of the quantum physics type of thing. But what this means is that we are more space than we are solid matter. And because of that, we have a vibratory system. Our system is constantly moving. Even the chair you're sitting on is moving, and it is more space than it is solid matter. But it's because we are slowed down that we perceive these things in a more physical, solid matter. Okay, if I haven't lost you yet, try to stick with me, because I'm going to try to pull it all together. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, vibration, all these things that are not tangible, but this is how everything is connected in our world. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a second that hopefully will make sense. So like I said, everything has a frequency. The chair you're sitting on, the food you're eating, the water you're drinking, every cell and organ in your body, every system in your body has a frequency, a signature that is optimal for that cell, that structure, that organ. Each part of it will have its own frequency. Your emotions and feelings have frequency. Thoughts, words, they all have frequency, and so do the things that we live with in this world. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. And I hate to burst your bubble if you really don't know this yet, but we are more of the cells that inhabit our body. There are more bacteria, viruses, etc., that we are made out of than human cell matter. And I always forget the ratio, but if we took away all those bacteria, viruses, etc., we couldn't exist. So we have evolved with them, and I go into this when I talk about the secrets to viruses, because we're starting to recognize this more with the bacteria. Now we know about the microbiome and the bacteria that are beneficial, that live in our gut. The same thing goes on with the viruses. I'm not so sure about parasites, but all of these things have their own vibrant frequency. That's what their signature is. Also, cells that are dying, diseased tissue, they all have a certain frequency. So this is a way that we can kind of work with to keep ourselves healthy and keep that high frequency. So here is a diagram, and this is looking at the emotional energy centers and body pain and symptoms. And there's a lot on this diagram, but the basis of this is that we can store different emotions in our body. So our mind and body are not separate. I call it the mind, body, spirit, because again, there's a lot that goes on with us. We're emotional beings. We're experiencing life as it comes along and our feelings. And if we release that negativity, it doesn't do us harm, but if we store it, it can really do some harm, especially if we're under prolonged stress, especially if we're surrounded by negativity. So I use a variety of things in my practice. In the 30 years I've been doing this, things like neuro-emotional technique, aroma freedom technique, to help with getting that stuck emotion to move itself through. And now I'm also using tonal and light frequencies to help do that as well. And I'll put the links in the description for the shows that I've already done talking about things. But really, for a person who is living in a high state of vibration, there's no way for dis-ease, so DIS/EASE, to manifest, because when there is a vibrational resonance that's high, then if there's a disease that's a lower vibrational resonance, it can't manifest. You can't, that lower vibration can't go up to our higher vibration. Now things constantly want to pull us down, and if we get pulled down to that lower vibration, we're going to leave ourselves wide open. And this is following more the terrain theory of health rather than the germ theory. The germ theory was the theory put by Pasteur, which said, a microbe or a germ is the cause of disease. The terrain theory is more whatever's going on in your body sets the stage, sets the platform. So in other words, if you have a dump full of rats, well, the germ theory is like, well, the rats are there, so we're going to exterminate the rats, right? We're going to get rid of the rats, leave the dump, because the rats are the problem. Now that's crazy, right? If we clean the dump up, then rats aren't going to be able to, there's going to be nowhere for them to live. And this is our bodies, right? Metaphorically, if our bodies are a dump, and this goes on the physical plane, the emotional plane, the spiritual plane, then we are going to attract the rats, which are the things that can reside in our body and wreak havoc. So it's a different philosophy, and it can kind of shake things up a bit. So let's talk a little bit about the vibrational frequency and health status, because we have a certain frequency when we're healthy. Our brain will be at 72 to 90 megahertz. But if you are having a cold or flu, it's going to drop down to 57 to 60, and on and on and on. You can see there with candida overgrowth, virus, Epstein-Barr virus, receptive to cancer. In other words, when your body's at a lower frequency, it's going to be more receptive to your cells dividing rapidly and not being cleared away, which then leads to cancer. And then the death process starts at the 25 megahertz frequency, and it will go down from there. So we're constantly in flux. We're never staying static, but in general, you want to keep that frequency as high as possible. Now, there are certain things that are going to help bring that frequency down. Pain, fear, rage, pride, resentment. All of these are cumulative, and in addition to the other things that you're doing, can start to really lower your frequency. And I know for me, one of the things that lowers my frequency is other people's energy. So I have to be very careful about that, and there's some things I do to protect myself. Now, on the positive side, these are the things that help to raise your frequency. Like generosity will raise it to 95 hertz. Gratitude up to 140 hertz. A sense of unity, 144 hertz. And this is really poignant to this time where things are going on in our world that is trying to keep us divided. And it creates a really negative aspect, because the sense of unity and community and camaraderie, I help you, and therefore it's a process that comes right back at you. It's not going on so much right now. So we really want to get back to this. Compassion, 150 hertz, it can raise your frequency to. And this is a tough one. And unconditional love, same thing, tough one, because with these things, then you have to even try to have compassion for people who might not have the same philosophy as you. They might think differently. They might have totally different points of views that you don't agree with. And yet, if we can find compassion and unconditional love for them, that is going to raise the vibration of us, and therefore cumulatively the whole world. Super difficult to do. I know I'm working on it, but this is so important for where we need to be, especially today. All right, a great Visual example of this is Dr. Masaru Emoto's water crystals. If you guys don't know about him yet, he is a Japanese scientist who looked at water crystals. He like froze them and used some, high-tech way to look at these crystals after he had subjected the water to words, thoughts, sounds, intentions. So this was done on all different levels, either by putting the words on the water, having people speak the words, having people think the words. And you can see here the love and gratitude has this amazing crystalline structure. Same thing with thank you, which is again showing gratitude. Look at the source that of evil, and you disgust me. So think about this. If these are the thoughts we're thinking about ourselves or others, whoa. That's huge, especially since we are primarily water. I think about this all the time now. So this is really, really a huge thing, and I just bring it to you here because this is the type of energy that has those negative frequency effects. All right, so every day I have tools and practices that I use to keep me healthy and happy and attract positivity to me, repel negativity. And really, it's an empowering thing that I have a choice on how I am responding to my life, to situations that might come up, to people, okay? I can't control what everybody else is doing, but I can for sure work on me. And when you work on yourself, that has like a pool that you drop a pebble into the pond, it ripples out from there. And so when you work on your own frequency, and if you're using these tools, especially at home or in your office, it's going to affect those around you too. It's amazing. It really is. So I'm going to go through these really quickly. And it's a little teaser, but next week I'm going to dive into them a little bit deeper, but I wanted to give you sort of like a little preview. So number one is eating high dense nutritional foods. Raw foods have enzymes. You want to stay away from processed foods that have really low vibrational energy, so detrimental to your health and well-being. Filtered structured water. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I've really been getting into this, and it goes along with Dr. Emoto's work as well as a documentary I saw on basically what happens to our water. It used to be coming down, babbling brooks and streams with a lot of energy imbued into it and a lot of positive vibrations. But now it is gathering as it comes into our homes, a lot of negative energy. It has a memory of everything that it comes in contact with. And remember, we're recycling a lot of our water that we have in our municipal system that comes into our home. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Well, chiropractic, I could talk about that on and on and on. There's some really cool work with a chiropractor who was looking at the vibrational energy of each vertebra, so super cool. But we are an electrical system, right? So our brain has a frequency that sends messages out through our spine to the rest of our body, which controls and coordinates every single system in the body. So if you have a stopgap in any of that situation, either the information traveling down or back up to the brain, you're not going to function at a high level and a high frequency. So, it's also been known to do like attitude adjustments. Movement. This is a huge one. We are designed to move. Movement creates its own energy. And there are certain systems throughout the ages, like yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong, that are based on ancient practices designed to move energy specifically, whether it be through the chakras or the energy centers and the meridians. So any movement that makes you happy and brings joy to your life is going to increase your frequency. Positive mindset and thoughts. This is a huge one. This can be words, it can be meditation, prayer, gratitude journal, mantras, those mind-body therapies I was talking about. This is a huge category, but it is something, again, that you will choose to have a positive mindset and then do the things to help support that. On the converse, you want to eliminate negativity, whether it be thoughts. So we showed how with Emoto's work, what happens with thoughts and words on water, which means it happens to us. Toxins. So this is having to do with what you're doing to the energy in your body. If your system is trying to process toxins, whether that be from the foods you're eating, the water you're drinking, the air you're breathing, the chemicals that are so many chemicals, and we bring them into our home too. And I've done shows on this talking about household products and body care products that we put on our body. So if your body's busy trying to eliminate those toxins, it's not going to be able to function at a high level. And then there's the habits. So this can be, again, things that we're doing in our life, negative habits like smoking and drinking, habits of thought, choosing to have a negative outlook, that type of thing. Then there's sound. This can be in the form of music, mantras, radionics, which I'll talk about next time, and this is huge. Emoto did some work with subjecting the water to different music as well, which was really cool. The water liked classical music. It did not like heavy metal. So there's that. Color, and this is a huge one. I showed you that frequency pattern of color in the visible range. So we can work within that. Each color has its own frequency. So you can wear that color, you can use gemstones with that color, wear colored glasses, that type of thing. Grounding and connection to nature. Well, this is a huge one. As I said, the earth has its own frequency, and getting your feet on bare earth, grass, to receive that positive energy does so much good because it can help counter effect a lot of the electromagnetic radiation that is creating problems in the low frequency. So it goes a long way to healing, getting out in nature, going for a hike in the trees. Preferably it'd be without rubber shoes on, which stops that connection. So the beach is great because you can walk barefoot. That's one of my favorite things to do, and get all those negative ions. So great for healing. Essential oils are great too, and each essential oil will have its own frequency. So some of the higher ones like rose, neroli, northern lights, black spruce, these are going to help raise the frequency to the higher levels if we're talking about chakras and the chakra system. The lower are also helpful because each essential oil is going to help you with wherever you need. And maybe I'll do a whole section just on that because there's so much to talk about there. With crystals, the same thing. Crystals have their own energy that can help us with our frequency. I know I resonate with amethyst, which I have on right here, a necklace. I got these stones in Colorado and made this necklace. I also love rose quartz. But when you look up different crystals, you will see that they have different energies that they bring to help with protection, with things that you want to do like abundance, money, fertility. I mean, there's so many things. So I really do love crystals, and I've got them all over, and that's one of my great joys when I travel is to find a crystal shop. So I'm like a kid in a candy store with that. Based on that, I use something called a biomat, and I'll talk a little bit more about that next time. And it's a device full of crystals and special technology that works with long wave infrared. So, talking about frequencies, that really has some great healing properties. I talked, I think it was last week, about brain tap, so I'll put that link there. I won't talk too much about it in depth, especially right now, but that is using light and sound and linguistic programming, so words, and the aspect of, again, training your brain. There's different programs if you have certain things that you want to work on. And then my frequency optimizer, which is a new tool and device that I have in my practice and my life, is amazing. So this is something that I have been waiting for, and thankfully technology has risen. I've done a 5 different part show on this. There's my hand, 5. So I'll put those in the description. I'll go over this a little bit more next week. But it is a mobile device. Everybody really needs this in their home now. I can't even tell you how excited I am because this is equipment. I've had similar things in the past that are tens of thousands of dollars. This is basically the cost of a cell phone. And it's scanning the body for frequency. So I know exactly what my frequency levels are when I scan myself in the day. I start at the beginning of the day. And then I can see and I can program it for frequencies that I want to help facilitate in my body. And I can also program things like, a necklace or a bracelet or supplements or a homeopathic remedy. So I can actually program things that I want to optimize as far as my frequency goes. It's mind-blowing. It is amazing. And yeah, I'll put more info on that so you can check that out. All right, so we're winding this up. When you are living in a state of optimal frequency, nothing can affect you. It's impossible. A high frequency state cannot attract a low frequency, and it can't affect it. It can't make you have a state of disease in your body. It just cannot. So if you are doing some of these things that I mentioned, and I'll go more into them next week, to keep your frequency high, you're just not going to. If you lower your frequency, then you're going to open yourself up and be more susceptible. So the best thing that you can do is take care of yourself, self-care. And so many people are not doing that. They're looking to other things, or because of their situation, they're just letting everything go. It's the worst thing you can possibly do. So keep your frequency high. We'll talk next week about those 13 ways that I use frequency, and I'll talk a little bit more about things that I don't use so much but are really great to do. And I've got my website there. If you'd like to contact me, you can contact me through my website. And I hope you have a fabulous week full of high frequency. And I will see you next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Till then, have optimal health and an optimal life. All right, bye.